But the match wasn't a complete loss.
No.
And here's 2 reasons why. And I'm going to actually start with the reason that I think everyone loved it more, because it was less it was exciting, but it's not the big reason I'm excited. Obviously, Sting coming in was pretty goddamn cool, and everyone.
You want to talk about that first? Okay.
Yeah, I do. I think Sting coming in was cool. I think he wasn't on Raw, was he? Because I read the Raw report. He wasn't on Raw. But it's very interesting to see him come out now, because I was not expecting him to come out quite this early.
When we talked about this when they announced it back around WrestleMania, I think I always said I expected him to be there around the Rumble.
Yes.
I think I'm going to say the earliest you might see Survivor Series, but I always said bet on the Rumble. Doing it this early, I think they plan to do it earlier. I don't think they expected all the positive reaction to Sting to be to this level. Mm-hmm. The first thing they did was they first had him show up after, unfortunately, the Ultimate Warrior passed away. Right after WrestleMania. Within a few days, they had him appear in the interview that they put on the WWE. Very well done. Really quickly put together. Short memoriam video, hour on his life, and Steve Borden's there, who's getting interviewed. Now you know for sure he's there.
Borden Stevens.
Yes, and in TNA, Borden Stevens. That was your first clue. Okay, he's there. And then in July, I think it was July, they had the awesome, which we talked about, video promo for his appearance
in 2K15.
In 2K15, which everyone went fucking nuts for.
Right.
And then they booed it when they realized it was just a video game. And then he appeared at Comic-Con a week or 2 later, and people went nuts at Comic-Con. So now I think the WWE is starting to say, wow, this isn't just us getting Bruno Sammartino. This is a guy that can make an impact on TV.
Yeah, and I think I don't want to overplay importance of video games, because the video game's not important, but I think they realized, okay, literally the game, the real version of the game that had the new stuff, came out last week, okay? And they realized people are very excited about Sting, and they have an angle where they can work him in, and why not? The crowd's going to go absolutely apeshit over a card that was fairly lackluster, and suddenly this card is now going to be memorable.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think that's kind of a big reason why they did it. And
it was a surefire win for not just the fans that knew him. And if you look at the reaction on the TV was, I think, muted versus if you go on YouTube and see the reaction from the crowd, people are losing their shit.
Because
they're losing their shit.
I still think WWE has too much fucking ego. They don't want to admit that someone who never prior wrestled in their ring
could have that reaction.
But this is the interesting thing, and I read an article on this earlier, so this is not just an independent thought, but it is a very interesting point. Sting is the last wrestler, and I really thought about it all day before I wanted to bring this up. Sting is the last wrestler that can have this sort of impact. He was the last wrestler that came up during the equally opposing WCW and WWF storylines, right? And we've had all these surprise entrances from wrestlers
Goldberg showed up, Steiner,
who didn't initially get picked up by WWE. We've had all those guys come in since. And when you think about it, who else is there left? There's no one. Sting is the last person who can elicit this sort of response from the crowd.
He's the last and arguably the biggest. I mean, when Goldberg came in, it was pretty damn big too, because Goldberg was still in his prime in 2003. He was still in his prime, and he could still wrestle good matches. But this is literally his name is the Icon. That's his name.
And don't get me wrong. There's lots of indie wrestlers that they can bring in that are going to get good responses. But there's no one. There's no one in that pantheon there's no one that Sting is.
That literally you had grown men saying, "Oh my God!" They sounded like little girls, "Oh my God!" Oh my God. Like their voices, you can hear it change in the audience.
Yes.
So, I was a little shocked that I was not. I don't know what I was expecting when they brought out Triple H calls for Scott Armstrong to come in after he pedigrees Dolph Ziggler. Scott Armstrong comes down, who was the guy who screwed over Daniel Bryan once or twice last year, so it was a good callback to that.
Right.
Armstrong hasn't been on TV in probably 6-7 months, or at least I know he hasn't even been used. He comes in, 1 count at the 2, you hear the crow and the fly, that was a cool sound just to hear that. That's
Yeah.
WWE has a good way of having that initial sound.
Yeah, they
to
changed
let
the
them know.
music, but like the sound they used to announce it was immediately everyone knew what was happening.
Yeah. I actually liked the new music. I actually liked it.
It was good.
And then, yeah, people were like losing their shit. And then when they saw him, though, that's where they allowed it to. When he walked in, the noise level went up like 600%.
Yeah.
When he walked in, and the only problem I had was the announcing. There's an expression when moments happen when announcers have to give a moment room to breathe, and the announcers all like, oh my God, what's Sting doing here? Then Jay White, he's a 6-time WCW champion, 2-time NWA, like as if he had it ready to go, versus letting themselves be shocked and surprised, like have them stumble over their words a little, like what? I think
Or calm the fuck down and at least pretend for a moment that you're in disbelief that Sting is walking down your runway.
Exactly.
And I'm not even the biggest Sting fan, but even for me watching that, it was way fucking cooler than I thought it was going to be.
Yes.
It was way cooler than I thought
It got
it was going to be.
It broke through your cynical shell.
But
it did for me too. I was watching at Frank's on my little MacBook Air. I was like, I was
Frank's like, you fucking asshole.
What the fuck is that? Well, he was too high, I think they realized. But anyway, yeah, it was like, all right, this is it. This is the last time we're going to be able to experience that guy. Like when Flair showed up on Raw after WCW was vanquished, people went nuts. And this is another one of those moments. But Flair had been there in the early 90s, so that wasn't even the same sort of impact of a guy never appearing before.
So I'm not going to say that this is more important, but to me, it's what really pleased me about the match. Beyond Sting, which was, a very show-stopping moment, but it's...
By the way, delivered a great Scorpion death drop.
Oh, yeah, that's
absolutely
Scorpion.
Magnificent.
I was watching there's a new guy moved into town. His name is Alan. I invited him over. We watched it, and he was like, please hit a Scorpion death drop. Please hit a Scorpion death drop. And he just hits the most beautiful Scorpion death drop.
It looked like Nitro 97.
It was awesome.
And that's what the thing is. Sting could still wrestle.
Yeah.
He can.
I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna be smart and not. Yeah. I don't think he's gonna go much.
I'm not saying
longer.
He can put on 5-star matches, but his body is not as bent up as Ric Flair. He can be able to put on like the Ric Flair sort of like knows his spots, does those spots competently, can chain wrestle just enough. And you know what I mean? And knows the flow and psychology, and that's all you need when you're in your mid-50s.
His hair is thinning a little
bit. That's all that you can see. I don't know what they do about that, but I'll let them deal with that.
So the last thing about Survivor Series, the part that really got me, I don't know where this thing has come from, because I know some people online where they think I don't like Dolph Ziggler. I love Dolph Ziggler. I think it came because I really like Cesaro, and I was upset with the way the Cesaro-Ziggler thing went.
Cesaro's been buried.
But I love Ziggler, and man, it warmed my heart to let Ziggler work his fucking heart out. He didn't fuck a thing up. They let Cena go out
15-20 minutes.
Him. He put on
a
great show, and I mean, it's too late. His name is Dolph Ziggler. I mean, his name is always going to be a joke name, but
I don't think it's going to matter. I
don't think it's going to matter. I really hope this is the beginning of something very good for Dolph.
Yeah, I mean, he got derailed. Well, then again, it was always that weird sort of when the World Heavyweight Championship still didn't mean that much compared to the WWE belt when they had both at the same time. And Ziggler won that and unfortunately suffered a really nasty concussion from Del Rio. Was it Del Rio? Yeah, or was it? No, he got kicked in the head by Swagger. One or the other. I forget right now when that happened a couple years ago.
If I had to guess, it would be Swagger, because Swagger's a fucking
It did. Yeah, Swagger, that was a bad botch from Swagger. It did happen. It was a really bad concussion. He didn't come back for like 2 months. It was really like one of those really bad ones. And so that derailed his momentum he had. Then he won the belt again it went back and forth between him and Del Rio, but he never got back up to that spot he should have. And after that, he sort of languished. But Ziggler is like, I said it before, he's like the modern day like Mr. Perfect type HBK, where he's a smaller guy, but it doesn't matter because he technically is absolutely almost flawless. He sells and bumps like a king,
almost too much. Like, I mean, I worry about the guy, but
he's bumped where I was like, wow, did he really get hurt? Like he's like
not McFoley level, but he's almost putting too much damage on his body.
But that's how he gets over, and that people knows he works well. And yeah, he almost never botches anything, and he's just a technically sound. He's Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect never screwed up.
Yep.
That's part of the reason why his name. And he got popular that way in the mid-card. Mr. Perfect would never reach the heights that he should have. But Ziggler, though, has the opportunity to do that, and they gave him, again, the chance to shine. They didn't sweep out the rug from other. They didn't have Cena go and turn to Superman and fight against the odds. They had Ziggler fight 3-on-1.
Because honestly, I figured Ziggler was an early out.
I knew he would not be because Cena can't do what Ziggler does.
You're right. Yeah, okay, that's a fair assessment.
And plus, it's the face in peril times. I always knew that they'd go to a spot where Ziggler was face in peril because he plays the perfect face in peril. I didn't know they'd have him 3-on-1 and carry 15,
and then
20
go
minutes.
through it. Yeah.
And that brings us back to why it became 3-on-1 when it was 3-on-3. Big Show turned on Cena and punched him out. I understand why they did it to get Big Show out of the match. I hated it just because Big Show has turned face and heel literally 4 probably times in the past 3 years.
And then they had him apologize for it the next day on Raw. And it's just like, I almost feel bad for Big Show because work rate rise, he's never impressed me, but like,
he's a nice big guy.
He seems like a nice guy. Yeah. He puts on a show, that I'm sure the kids love, and it's like they've totally destroyed his character by giving him more face heel turns than fucking anyone.
Yeah, almost as many as Mark Henry they've done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I understand why they did it. I wish they played it a little more tweener on Raw, where he was like, you could understand. He gave his reasoning. His reasoning kind of made sense. He was like, well, I thought my team was done. I didn't want to be fired if we lost. If they did it a little more subtly than that, I would have liked it better. But good on Dolph Ziggler. I don't know his real name. Good on him because they're lacking big time faces. No. We know that, and he's the next guy that when Cena's gone like 4 or 5 years, Ziggler will still be there.
Yeah, business wise, I think that's why they did it. They need to elevate as many of those guys to the top as quickly as they can.
Because I don't know when Bryan's coming back. CM Punk's not coming back. That left a huge hole, those two alone. Roman Reigns is coming back. I don't have faith Roman Reigns is ever going to be that big top guy. I don't. Nope. It'll be Ambrose and Rollins before him. But then again, for a face, Rollins would turn. But you know what I'm saying? I don't see Reigns being that guy.
Ambrose Ziggler would be a good match.
Yeah, why not? Ziggler can work with anyone, it looks like, so far. Yeah. So there's any other thoughts on Survivor Series?
No, we should probably move on.
That's what our wrestling fans love us. They want us to do a weekly wrestling podcast, but everyone else would hate us.
Yep.